Hey guys, and welcome to Leaguecraft 101. Today I'm going to talk about Anivia. I think Anivia is a powerful pick for solo queue because she's really good at punishing mistakes and ending games. In competitive, her weak early game, slow rotations, and difficulty in dealing with mobile champions can be capitalized on, but in solo queue, these weaknesses rarely come to fruition. So Anivia's learning curve is pretty rough at the beginning, but like Ryze, once you master her base combos, her power just skyrockets. Unlike Ryze, however, her combos are quite reliable, which makes her much more effective in a lot of cases. So Anivia has a few core combos. The first one, which isn't really a combo at all, is just learning the exact range of your wall. Learning the exact range of your wall is one of the most important skills as an Anivia player. Wall probably has the highest power to reliability ratio in the game, and it's exceptionally good at catching or killing tanks because of their general lack of defensive dashes. It's also very strong to flash catch somebody if you know they have no flash. In this clip, I know Vel'Koz has no flash, and so I can flash wall and get a guaranteed empowered E for a kill. So the next combo is R wall Q. This is Anivia's most devastating combo, and it can 100-0 to someone at level 7 if you took Ignite and they didn't build health. If you use trading stance and combo when they go for a CS, you can get this combo off pretty easily. In this clip, I know Vel'Koz is aiming to get this minion, and so I pressure him with my R. When I see him running for the edge, I can wall to bounce him back into the storm. If you've successfully R-walled them, the most common mistake here to make is tunneling hard on landing your E or your Q, and then you get CC'd and have your ultimate cancelled. So at this point, I know he can't easily walk out, and he's going to be forced to throw E to try and survive, so my primary objective is just to dodge his E. After you've dodged it, you want to be able to E yourself, and then when they pick a direction to try and get out of the storm, you throw your Q to the edge that they're running for. Ideally, you want to use your Q stun to trap them inside the storm, but this often means that you have to throw your Q before you can see which direction they committed to. So the next thing to learn is the pass-through Q. If you know that they can't get out of your Q, for example, if they have no flash or you're very close to them, then you should go for the pass-through Q. Otherwise, if you know that they have a flash or a dash, you want to pop your Q as soon as you can stun them. In this clip, I use the normal RW EQ combo to chunk down this Taliyah really hard, while dodging around so that she can't hit her W. In this engagement, since I'm going for the kill and I don't want her to flash, I pop the Q as soon as it gets in range with the intention of auto-attacking and flash auto-E-igniting her later for a kill. Unfortunately, she cleanses out of it. At this point, I notice Elise is in trouble, so I rotate up to help her. In this engagement, I can flash to kill the Vi, and then since Taliyah is close to me, she won't have the reaction speed to flash away from my Q2, and so I can go for the pass-through, which gives me enough damage to kill her. You should be cognizant of when you have time or space to go for a pass-through Q or not, because especially in late game, the extra damage can be the difference between won or lost fights. So the last few tricks are nice to know on Anivia, but they aren't really that impactful in helping you win. The first one is Q wall. This combo is pretty hard, but in most cases where Q wall is good, you could also just have instead done a wall Q, which is more reliable. The other tricks are TP egg, where you can TP before you die, and then TP away in egg form. The next small trick is wall pinning. Generally speaking, if you see somebody next to a wall, and your wall will squash them into it, it will stop them from moving. In this clip, we're minion crash diving Darius, and walling pushes him to the top wall and blocks him from moving. This lets us kill him pretty trivially when the minion wave crashes in. So the next trick is wall blocking dashes. Since a wall applies a knockback, it will cancel a lot of dashes if cast on them while they're mid-movement. You need a bit of luck to pull this off well, and it's largely predictive rather than reactive. So the final two tricks are with the ultimate. You can recall while your ultimate is active, and the final trick with the ultimate is that cancelling it early applies another stack of damage, which helps you get a little bit more damage on somebody if they're leaving your storm. So for laning phase, pre-6, I prefer to play pretty passively and let the lane push towards me. I normally try and test them by using trading stance and auto attacks and unempowered E's when they go for a minion. If they don't know how to play around the trading stance, then I'll try and punish them by throwing some Qs in there when they go for a minion. I find that this generally stops working around mid-diamond, at which point you shouldn't play so aggressive and just look to get as much safe CS as you can. So post 6, if you're in an even lane matchup, your laning plan is generally to look for a RW EQ combo from earlier to get great kill pressure and gank assist. Just repeatedly use this combo to get lane priority. Alternatively, if you're in a losing matchup, just look to clear waves and scale. So once you have lane priority, it's very important that you use that somehow. So the easiest and most powerful way to use the lane priority that you get is to steal their chicken camp and neutralize their jungler. In this clip, I have lane priority over the Vlad, and I can see my top lane is drawing a lot of pressure, while my team is close by doing dragon. As a result, I can contest their chicken camp, and even if they contest me, there's no chance that I die, because I still have flash and egg, and my team is close. If my team wasn't close, since I'm immobile, it's a bit more risky, so call your jungler to come help you invade, and give you vision and counter gank threat. So once you're safely inside their jungle without risk of collapse, a lot of options open up to you. The most powerful of these is minion crash diving bot lane, if you're on the purple side, or top lane if you're on the blue side. Alternatively, you can steal their buffs, or ward the chicken bush and kill the jungler when they come to farm their chicken camp. If the mid laner attempts to punish you by pushing up to your turret, you can double back and just kill them from behind. The risky way of asserting pressure is to be up at their turret. So in this clip, I erroneously chose to clear the wave quickly to exert pressure on Yas under his turret. Instead, I should have either tried to get vision on my strong side, which is the top side because that's the side my jungler's on, or I can hold the wave in the middle and zone the Yasuo off the minions and RWEQ combo him if he gets greedy. So personally, I prefer to build a large CS lead and create local pressure by disrupting the jungler on Anivia rather than roaming because she's so slow. However, if you see people critically overextended, using your pushing power, you can push out and then retreat to the fog of war and try for a bread and butter roam. Remember from episode 6 that a bread and butter roam is when you push a wave out, drop out of vision, and then roam to a side lane to force the enemy to farm the wave instead of following you. This can probably work most of the time at lower elo, but at mid diamond plus, the risk is pretty high in my opinion. I'll often bread and butter roam, and then if they don't back off, I think the roam is good, but they're actually just baiting for the jungler, and I get collapsed on and die. In addition, people will either furiously spam missing ping on their lane, and they're more likely to have the river watered at that league, and then they'll just waste your time by backing off. For that reason, I usually recommend taking a methodical, attrition-based approach to winning, and avoid to try and win off higher variance plays. So for summoner spells, I recommend Ignite by default, because people make so many mistakes that it's easy to snowball off Ignite. But in higher elos, I recommend taking TP, so that you can mitigate your bad early game, but Ignite is also still good. For item builds, depending on your first back timing, you want to back when you have enough to get either Catalyst or Tier. Normally if I can get Catalyst on first back, it's worth deferring the Tier purchase, because you get a lot more sustain. From there, GLP and Roa are both good purchases. I personally prefer Roa so I have less decisions to make, but if you're confident that you can make good quality decisions, then GLP is good too. From there, get your Sork shoes so you can move around, and then you can either get Morello or finish your Seraphs. In games where my wall is lethal, for example against a team with no dashes, I'll get Morello for the CDR and wall, otherwise Seraphs is probably better. And the next item is usually Void, because you can't really get away with going Deathcap next in an even game, unless the enemy is like trolling and not building magic resist. And finally, you want to build Zhonya's, Liandry's, or Deathcap, but games rarely get to that point, so just focus on the earlier items in the build. So the other build is a really high pressure catch build, which goes ZZ Rot 3rd item. I don't generally recommend this build, because people make enough mistakes below Masters for the damage build to be better. In Masters Plus, I think this build is good because you can generate insane amounts of pressure and people are much less likely to get caught randomly. And it will help you make a lot of catches that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to get due to the move speed around turrets. So, on to teamfighting. Teamfighting with Anivia is pretty good. You have amazing catch potential with your wall, so you can often start a fight by picking their tank. After this, it's usually easy to peel back and protect your carries, and then wall again in the middle of the fight to cut off their carries. In this clip, notice how I went Morello, because my wall is lethal against their dashless team and enables me to get off 2 walls per fight. The other time that you generally teamfight with Anivia is if you're baiting an objective. In this clip, we're doing Baron. I cancel Vi's Q with my wall, and then I use the Q trick from earlier by throwing it at the exit end of the wall. If you have Egg, don't be scared of positioning aggressively if you have a realistic threat on their backline, but generally speaking, controlling the mid line is usually a higher value play because your P-wall is so good. So the final part to cover with Anivia is sieging. Anivia is godlike in sieges because she can prevent the enemy from defending their turret. The way you do this is you stand outside of turret range, and when the minions crash, wall one side of the turret off and drop ult on the other side while your ADC hits the turret for free. In sieging situations, you want to save your Q for counter engage because when you do this, they're going to try and counter engage from behind with a TP or just run straight through the middle and hit you while your skills are down. Alternatively, if people walk in front of their tower for some reason, you can just wall them off and Q to the side for a free kill. So that's it for my Anivia guide, guys. I think Anivia is a really good champion for learning the fundamentals of the game and getting into good habits. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Peace.